Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so glad you could join us for tonight's important and often overlooked discussion on how to keep romance alive while caring for a loved one. Caregiving is an act of deep love and devotion, but it also comes with challenges that can strain even the strongest relationships. Balancing the roles of caregiver and partner isn't easy, but nurturing intimacy and connection remains vital. Today's session will explore how to maintain emotional closeness, foster intimacy, and embrace the spirit of play, even in the face of ALS related challenges. We are honored to have Linda Levine. She has a Master's of Education and Bachelor's degree in Recreational Therapy with us today. Linda is a faculty emerita at San Jose State University, and she brings not only professional expertise, but also personal experience in navigating the complexities of love, caregiving, and partnership. She and her husband have shared a deep, evolving bond for 35 years, and she will share real, heartfelt strategies to help you prioritize emotional connection, even amidst the daily demands of caregiving. Get ready for an open, honest, and even humorous discussion as Linda invites us to explore the realities of grief, love, and yes, even clumsy sex and ALS. Before we get started, I would like to go over a couple of housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded and shared with registered participants afterwards. You will be muted throughout the presentation to minimize background noise. Feel free to use the Q&A box to submit questions. We will address these questions at the end of the program. Most importantly, this is a welcoming and supportive space where you can engage at your own comfort level, knowing that you are not alone in this journey. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Linda Levine. Linda, the stage is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm so delighted to be here. I am coming to you from San Jose, California, and I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to talk about something most people aren't talking about. So I'm just going to share my slides and we'll take it from there. So as was stated, I have a background in recreational therapy, and I got plenty of jokes when I was getting that degree about this very topic. So it makes me laugh that all these years later, I'm actually talking about sex on the screen. So I am a caregiver for my beloved husband, David. He was diagnosed in 19, and he's actually on the screen with the rest of you, but he probably doesn't want to be seen. So anyway, we're going to start. So how did this all begin? Well, I was doing a talk on family caregiving called Family Caregivers, Angels in Agony in Montreal in December. And it was with the MNDA, Motor Neuron Disease Association / ALS. And I did this presentation, and several people came up to me and said they really loved it, but could I add some more topics? And I said, oh, like what? And they said, sex, intimacy. No one is talking about that. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. It wasn't that I thought about it and didn't, but then I thought, yeah, they're right. I need to add that in. So if no one is talking about the emotional, intimate connection between a caregiver and their loved one, that's just not right. Because as many as 129 million people in the US alone, that's more than half of Americans, are living with at least one chronic medical condition. And sexual health is a natural part of adult wellness. So we need to get some information. So what happened next? Brave Jumana, who just spoke to you all, said, yeah, it'd be great if you add a little bit to that talk, but how about if we do a whole webinar on it, which brings us to today. So that's how I became the Dr. Ruth of ALS Sex. Anybody here remember the Dr. Ruth? She was this amazing woman, like 4'10". She was a Holocaust survivor and just a spitfire. And she gave television shows and lectures on the topic of sex. On her 94th birthday, this sexpert had a few things to share. Don't put sex on the sidelines, even in older years. She felt like people don't take enough time for their relationships. They're so busy in the workplace or minding their kids, or what about the relationship? And then, timely, she said, Valentine's Day is the perfect opportunity to spice up in the bedroom. So today we're going to talk about strategies to incorporate romance, intimacy in a spirit of play in the context of a relationship. So there's all kinds of things to be explored about sex in if you're single, sex if you're divorced, sex in other contexts. But today, because it's my experience, I'm going to be talking about being with my partner. So first, we're going to focus on love. So close your eyes and think for a minute. When did you feel your partner's love recently? Here are some responses that I received. Last weekend, he pushed my wheelchair up a steep mountain so we could experience the waterfalls and take in the majestic views together. When did you feel your partner's love recently? He finally fixed the sink. On our long-awaited wedding day. When did you experience your partner's love recently? Well, she got me all dressed up and we went out for our 49th wedding anniversary. She looked so pretty and I didn't look half bad myself. I was surprised how much she liked what I wrote in my card. I pray we make it to our 50th. When did you feel your partner's love? He asked our friend to pick up our groceries, saving me that effort, and surprised me with these lovely flowers. When did you feel your partner's love? She pleasured me in the hot tub until I was almost too weak to get out. Noted sexologist Trina Reed suggests that using a hot tub can significantly benefit your romantic life, acting as a powerful catalyst for a healthier and more vibrant relationship. Speaking personally, my husband we've enjoyed our hot tub, we have one, but he has recently said that for him, his legs get too weak and he feels like he can get in, but he doesn't feel like he can get out. So everything we're saying here, you need to think about what your beloved or what you are experiencing and what would be the most possible. Just offering suggestions. So each of those examples that I shared are part of the 5 love languages. The 5 love languages have been researched for a very long time. And what they talk about is that each of us has a preferred love language, the language that we give love and the language that we most want to be loved. Some people want words of affirmation. Other people want acts of service. He fixed the faucet. Receiving tangible tokens. And tangible tokens doesn't only mean gifts, and it doesn't automatically mean large gifts, but it means that person likes holding something in their hand. So the gentleman who said, I was surprised how much she loved the words in my card. My guess is she liked holding that card and she gets to keep it. Quality time together, so just going on a date, and others feel the most love through physical touch. But very often what makes you feel cherished isn't the same as the way your partner naturally expresses affection, which is kind of a bummer. And the reverse is true. We're wanting this wonderful thing, but it's not really in their natural repertoire. So to learn more about love languages, you can go online, you can go on to books, and you can take a love languages test. You can read up on love languages together. Wouldn't that be nice? Learning about yours and your partner's and discussing it, even all these years later. Listen and try new ways of filling each other's tank after you know what it is your partner would most enjoy. That's not to say it isn't nice to throw salt and pepper into it all. Of course, acts of kindness, of course, acts of service. But one of the things that comes up is between a caregiver and the person they're caring for, there becomes a difference in how much service is given. And sometimes we need to recalibrate how we share our love. So if the person with a disease is used to being able to fix things or get things or reach things, and that's their love language, it can be sad for the individual and the person that is used to being supported in that way. So these are conversations to have. All right, so there's love and there's love making. Can we get to the juicy part already? I think we can all agree that if the pal's body can't do what it used to do and the partner caregiver is exhausted or irritable, then making love or even making out can be really tricky. Focus. Think back on the warmth of intimacy. Even if it's been a bad day, a bad week, a hard time, we have those sweet memories of what it feels like to be embraced fully. Imagining the closeness plus the release of sexual frustration may be very motivational when it feels like a lot of work to get intimate with your body changing and so much laundry to do and a little bit of pain and lots of fatigue for both. The first step is accepting that things will not be the way they were before. And remember that actively engaging as lovers is very important, though, even if it's not going to be the same. And how you define and engage in that intimacy is your call. There's no lovemaking police. What you call intimacy is between the two of you. So, what's it like for pals, persons with ALS? It can be reassuring to know that ALS, in most cases, has no direct effect on fertility, libido, sexual arousal, or the ability to have an erection or an orgasm. However, ALS can bring anxiety, fear, depression, fatigue, and all of those things can impact desire and the act of making love. For some couples, sex becomes less important than shared activities and time together. For others, sex is very important, even more important after diagnosis. So just like before the disease, couples are different. People are having sex once a week, once a year. We're all different. And some are interested more and some are interested less with ALS. What's it like for the caregiver, the cows of person with ALS? Well, cows frequently experience reduced energy for sexual connection, changes in physical attraction, emotional complexity surrounding physical intimacy, uncertainty about how to engage, desire to be seen as lovable, and feelings of guilt about sexual frustration. Am I selfish to bring up sex when he or she is dealing with ALS? I'm complaining about sexual frustration? It just doesn't seem right, even though the problem is very real. I was reading an article in the New York Times from January 16th of this year. It was called The Remarkable Normalcy of Being Disabled and in Love. And this article peels back the layers of a term that I didn't know before called interabled relationships. And if you see the image here, this is a book that's written by a couple about true stories about love and disability. The interabled influencer couple is Shane and Hannah Burkaw on love and disability. And Shane has had a lifelong disability, and Hannah and he fell in love online, long distance, and grew into a relationship, have since gotten married, have been together several years, at least 6. And they've documented their relationship, including lots about intimacy between folks with disabilities and folks without. Their YouTube channel is called Squirmy and Grubs. I have no idea why. And they have more than 4 million followers. And it, as I said, it documents their relationship. And they get into it. They talk about romance, intimacy, and a playful spirit. It's exactly our topic. So I was inspired by this couple. Their situation is obviously different from ours. Most of us partnered when we were both able-bodied, or at least one of us didn't have ALS yet. But still, they had a lot to teach me, and I wanted to share it with you. So Hannah says on caregiving and intimacy, people often assume that caregiving has to be separated from the romantic part of our lives. So they'll be like, how do you draw the line between being a caregiver and being a wife? It's definitely embedded in the romantic love. Caregiving is very seamlessly integrated into our day. There's no line that we draw. Caregiving is inherently intimate, and that just makes you closer. Shane says, when we're cuddling in bed, that's a romantic thing. But I might need to say to Hannah, hey, can you slide my leg to the left? That's caregiving. But there's no line there, it's interwoven. When Hannah is helping me cut my food and eating my dinner, that's caregiving. But we're also chatting and telling stories and making each other laugh. And that's intimacy. That's another one of their books. Strangers Assume My Girlfriend is My Nurse, from before they were married. Hannah on caregiving for each other. Shane is a great emotional caregiver. He's a wonderful husband, knows exactly what to do when I'm upset to make me feel better. My favorite trait about him is his sense of humor. And then also, he manages everything for our household, like paying the bills. And yes, we have a healthy, happy sexual relationship. So, moving back into our realm in the ALS community, we know that the journey of ALS can impact intimacy. But I'm here to celebrate that it's possible to maintain that very special connection. The advice that I gleaned from the books I've read and the research and the YouTubers out there is that many of the same things that we need to maintain all aspects of our relationship are true for specifically sensual intimacy. So here are some thoughts. Open, thoughtful communication, shared respect and responsibility, self-care for both, making time for romance, putting down screens, having reasonable expectations, and continuing to learn new things about intimacy and disability. So, communication. It's important to acknowledge that things are a little more complex now that we're in this new dynamic of caregiver and loved ones. Lots of times with communication, there's a lot of stuff in our backpacks, a lot of past hurts that need to be dealt with. And I really support people in seeing a therapist, getting help on addressing those miscommunications and past hurts. Talking about love and sex that feels right in the moment, reassuring one another of attraction. And if you are craving closeness, kissing, hugging, and cuddling, let your partner know. They may not know. Shared respect and responsibility. Sounds pretty basic, right? Encouraging independence. Help your loved one maintain as many roles and responsibilities as possible. That's for their own identity, and it helps you put down the burden if you're the caregiver. Share the load. When both partners share responsibilities, it can strengthen the bond. Of course, if we're talking about final stages ALS, I'm not talking about having the person chop vegetables. That would be crazy. So think about where you and your partner are and respond appropriately to these comments. Together, transform difficult experiences into moments of connection, and know that ALS is happening to both of you. The person with the illness needs to support the partner in whatever way they can, and vice versa. Self-care, simply do what feels good to you. If you like massage, ask your partner for a massage. If they can't do it or don't want to, ask a friend. Get a professional one, but take care of you. Make time for romance. There's so much to do in every day, but prioritize intimacy. That could just be skin to skin contact. It's also advisable, if you're not getting around to romance, to set a time for it. Sunday mornings, Tuesday afternoons, whatever. Make a date. Experiment with shorter sessions and less demanding sexual positions. Remember that penetrative sex is only one of the many options of the smorgasbord for sexual experiences. So don't necessarily say, if I can't do that, I'm not doing anything. If your partner's not interested in intimacy right now, remember, tomorrow's another day. Be flexible, as exhaustion is a real challenge for both partners. So, it talked about put down your screens. There's a term called technoference, and that's the interference of technology in relationships. 70% of couples are negatively affected by smartphone interruptions. Phubbing is a new term, and it's called someone ignoring their partner by focusing on the phone when they are sitting together. And studies indicate that there's a big link between heavy phone, computer screen time and people feeling alone in their relationship. Set aside daily time to unplug and recharge the relationship. Put the partner first and put your phone down. This is one that I need to work on. Is anyone out there, I'm just curious, are you having sex like in the movies? Intimacy is not about movie screen sex, but about genuine connection, adaptability, and mutual understanding. Aging, fatigue, side effects of meds, discomfort, decreased libido, those are all real. And if you're anywhere near the age that I am, these things might be happening anyway. So again, check your expectations. And if we're being honest, When we were young and frisky, we had some clumsy sex. We kind of elbowed each other in the nose and had trouble learning to kiss and rolled over on each other. Ouch, ouch. So it's not just ALS. In long-standing relationships, of course, sex gets routine. Revisit things you used to do and adapt them. If things get too difficult, perhaps the more physically able partner can take a more active role. And again, try not to compare how it used to be. Enjoy the here and now. Think outside the bed. Yes, I said bed. Get creative. There are plenty of ways of being intimate and plenty of places to be intimate. The adjustable bed has controls. Use them for better positioning. Telling your partner about your loving and intimate feelings can help intimacy grow. Explore sexual activities such as massage, oral sex, or mutual masturbation. Change it up. And again, if your hands or your arms are affected and can't move, maybe your partner can take your hands and use them to stroke their body or their face so that you both can share that sensation and intimacy. Bodies touching is intimacy. There's a technique called body mapping, and it's gently exploring your partner's whole body, not just areas most often linked with sexual desire. The aim is not orgasm, the aim is intimacy. Grieving together. It's sad what's happening. Experiencing this illness together can bring you closer. Share it. Sharing the challenges can increase your resilience and deeper communication and a stronger sense of unity, because from shared grief is shared love. What causes you most grief? Sharing that with your partner can help. For me, watching his body really have difficulty moving in bed. I hate that so many places are inaccessible and I go alone. My heart breaks when I see other people startled at how much David has changed. And his bad days scare me. But then there are good days. Like he wrote a book and had a book signing. We took our nieces out to the zoo. Intimacy invites your playful spirit to the relationship. Taking yourself lightly can benefit any relationship. You and your partner have your own version of goofy fun. With sex, playfully experiment with different positions to find out what's comfortable today. It might be different in a month. Many folks with ALS report that spooning, lying side by side, is easier than many other positions. Whatever you try, laugh together while you experiment, because that also can enhance intimacy. You've been together a long time. Don't worry. Don't be embarrassed. Speaking of playful, have you experimented with sex toys? When I was at that December conference, the M.Ed. ALS symposium, there were sex toys on display right there next to the communication devices and the fancy wheelchairs and the adapted eating utensils. Sex toys can be used between caregiver and the loved one or on a pleasure play date for yourself. Try things, lube up, laugh, and have some fun, alone or together. Intimacy is a whole range of things. Feeding one another can be silly and intimate. And even if you are already feeding your partner, throw some whipped cream in, change it up. If you're dressing your partner, perhaps use the opportunity to sneak a playful, naughty little glance or peek, snuggle in really close, have some yummy body contact. There's plenty about this disease that is not fun or funny, but David and I try to laugh. We both use BiPAPs machines, and we joke that we look and sound like mating elephant seals. Are you laughing with me, people? Your sexual health matters. Ask your occupational therapist for advice. I know for a lot of people that would be awkward, so I have some suggestions. If you're anxious, begin with, can I talk to you about something personal? Can we talk about how ALS affects? Is it true that there are slings that make positioning for sex easier? Do other people find that? Can I have sex if I have breathing problems? If I have a feeding tube? Yes? Wow. How does that work? The good news is it turns out there are people thinking, doing research, writing, YouTubing about intimacy and disability and illness. It's just important to remember that no matter how a person's body changes, no one should have to give up intimacy and sex. That's another quote from Dr. Ruth. One of the best books that I found on the topic is called Sex Interrupted. It's written by Iris Zink, nurse practitioner, and she has worked with thousands of people with very practical tools and advice to regain intimacy. If you want to take a quick screenshot, here are some other resources. And again, there will be a recording of this so you can go back and check on all these resources that I found helpful. I just want to thank you for your openness and your bravery for attending Clumsy Sex at ALS. Take the best and leave the rest. It's you and your partner that know what feels right for your relationship. I'm just hoping that you find these ideas and resources helpful and try a little something. I appreciate your listening, laughing, and learning with me. It's time for questions.
Wow, what a great presentation, Linda. Thank you so much. So we have a few minutes left for questions. Don't be shy. If you want to type in your questions in the Q&A box, and we will address them in the remaining time.
Well, while the questions are or aren't coming in, I just want to say that I'm available for coaching if people would be more comfortable talking about this or caregiver empowerment or creating a meaningful life in the midst of your journey. I do I do coaching on a wide variety of subjects, retirement planning and creating a meaningful life and all sorts of life coaching. But as I am a caregiver in this arena, I'm really there for you and your partner if you would like. So my contact information is there.
Yes, and we will be sharing that with the recording when we send it out in an email. I do have a couple of questions that came in. One is from Anonymous. What recommendations does Linda have for folks whose love language doesn't quite align?
Well, the first thing is know that you are not alone. Many people's love languages don't align. It might be even why you chose each other, because there was this difference between you. I would be extremely explicit about what it is that you desire. And one of the conversations that David and I have is specifically about this is something that's meaningful to me, and I know you love me. So I would like you to do this thing, and it would make me feel great, and vice versa. So that's really is just direct communication. Also, you may think about meeting your own needs in areas. So for example, when I go to the farmer's market, I will buy some flowers and I'll bring them home, and not in a sarcastic way, in a genuine way. I'll say to David, look at these beautiful flowers you brought me. Thank you so much. And he wins and I win.
So we have a couple of other questions that came on the webinar chat. One of them is it common to have a hard time orgasming, or is it mental?
In the context of ALS or in general?
My guess is it is in context of ALS. Let's go with that. Yes.
Okay. The research shows that for most people, there should not be impact on orgasm or erection physiologically. But there are many other factors going on, exhaustion, anxiety. I wouldn't say, it's all in your head in a negative way. Sex before ALS, there's a lot going on. So I'd say, yeah, I would say try some of the tools here, change it up, have some new experiences, try the body mapping, take the pressure off of the orgasm, just enjoy yourself, and you might be surprised at what the outcome is.
There was another unrelated question that I will just say regarding retirement planning. Please stay on our mailing list, and we will update you when we have that ready. So the next question is, this one is actually, I don't have a question, but a comment. This is tremendously valuable topic and experience, and I want to thank both Jumana and Linda for it. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Another one, as you mentioned, intimacy can fade as relationship ensues. What do you suggest to rekindle it when there is so much struggle in a relationship, when someone is in an ALS caregiver relationship?
I have so many answers for that. As a caregiver, or I don't know which you're speaking of, but as the caregiver, I ask David's family members and our friends to stay, and I'll do a weekend away with my girlfriends. And that idea of absence makes the heart grow fonder has really worked all through our marriage. But particularly now, as I feel a little bit more constrained in what I can do because David has needs that he didn't have before, which I'm happy to do, but I also need me time. So going away and having something more to bring back, and I did this and this one said, enlivens me and makes me miss him. And then repeat the question one more time.
Intimacy can fade in as the relationship issues. What do you suggest to rekindle it when there is so much struggle in a relationship when someone has ALS?
Yeah. For me, focusing on the fact that when you partner with somebody that one of you is going to be gone before the other one, but once ALS shows up in your relationship, you're pretty sure which one is going to go first. It's not guaranteed, and just thinking about, this is our time. This is the sweet spot. And then sadly, he won't be here. And so, I can let go a lot of toilet paper being on the wrong one, or bread comes in the kitchen, or smelly socks, and even ALS things like drooling or fatigue, whatever, because those things might not be what I thought would be happening now. But my husband's in there. He is still the man that I enjoy. And so just building back the playfulness, the back rub, the goofiness, and being silly. We laugh. I know you might think this is weird, but like if I twist my ankle, or, get a hangnail or whatever, get like my roots are showing. I'll be like, ugh, you don't know how hard I have it. You just have ALS. I twisted my ankle. I need a pity party. And it's like we're laughing at this really terrible thing, but it's goofy. And that brings us close.
Thank you. There is another question that came in the Q&A. It says, my husband's legs, arms, and whole body go painfully stiff after orgasm. Any tips to prevent this or help it stop?
I would suggest talking to an OT or the neurologist about that one. I don't think I have an answer.
And I have another similar question that might be referred to the doctor as well. It's regarding the use of Viagra to help.
I wouldn't be comfortable making a comment about anything having to do with medicine, but be brave and bring these things up in your multidisciplinary team meetings or your meeting with your doctor. Sexual health is part of adult health and wellness, and you have a right to get this supported just as every other part of your personal health.
One of our attendees responded to that question, says Viagra is great, but this particular talk should be addressed also to neurologists and occupational therapists in the clinics, because they often tend to not address these issues. They're not comfortable discussing them, so they go overlooked, and the families are not comfortable bringing them up. We, like Linda said, we encourage you to bring those up and let them deal with it.
When David and I were looking for counselors, that was a question I asked the counselor. I mean, it's the same as asking a neurologist or an OT. I said, would you be comfortable talking about sex and intimacy? And some of them said yes, but I could tell they were squirming. And others said yes, and I felt like this wasn't their first rodeo, which is great, because this is our first rodeo in every aspect of ALS and caregiving. So it's really nice to get the support of those who are trained in these things and who really want to help you.
Well, we have a few more minutes for a couple more questions if you want to send them in the Q&A. If not, okay. I don't see any more questions, so we can end early and let you go enjoy your dinners. What a great presentation, Linda. Thank you so much. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope this presentation has given you valuable insights, encouragements, and maybe even few laughs as you navigate caregiving and partnership. Keeping love and connection alive isn't always easy, but as Linda shared, it's worth the effort. Small moments of closeness and understanding can make a big difference. You are not alone in this journey. Lean on your community, seek support, and prioritize your relationship. A big thank you to Linda Levine for her wisdom and to all of you for being part of this conversation. Take care, stay connected, and we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you, everyone.